Hello, CCA parents. My name is Mr. Carshins. I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of what your algebra student can expect for CCA Algebra, run by myself, Mr. Carshins, and also Mr. Baker. We've thrown all of our resources together, so let's just get right to it. Grading for CCA Algebra. We have things called Bookwork. It's either worksheets or book assignments. They are not graded, but they are required for quiz test retakes. We have a thing called checkpoints. It's 10% of their grade, and they have unlimited attempts on those checkpoints. We finally have quizzes and tests. It's 90% of the grade. They get 3 total attempts. The first one is free. The next 2 have to be earned by completing all checkpoints at a passing grade, so at least 60%, and then having all book work turned in. So best practice would be to do all the book work, do all the checkpoints, and be ready for the quiz with 3 attempts. Here's the flow of things. We would recommend having them write down some type of notes. I know Mr. Baker has Google Slides. I have handed out notes. Both resources are pretty good. We would recommend some type of note-taking, going over examples. Then we would like for them to do the book work to practice those skills and also to unlock the 2 other attempts on the test. Checkpoints are kind of a way to finish up the lesson. We have built some questions from scratch, going over the exact same questions from the bookwork, which is the exact same questions, all the notes. So watch it, practice it, and then finish things off, and then move on to the next lesson. So this is kind of the, if you would, the virtual learning flow, but it's also what they would experience in class. Once enough lessons are covered, we will take a quiz or a test. I think at most it's 5 lessons. We'll boil down to a test. I'll show you a preview here in a second. Our only other thing we talk about is late work. Zeros will be entered 2 weeks after the Schoology due date. Students can still get full credit for the late work. So a student can turn something in a day or 2 behind and still get full credit. A student can turn something in 2 months late and still get full credit. So let's jump right into the Schoology page. Here is what your student will see on the CCA Schoology page. As you can see, we have section 4, 3, 6, and 8. Doesn't really mean a whole lot, but those are the 4 sections of algebra. So if your student is taking CCA Algebra, this is what they're going to see. So let's kind of go through all the resources here. This first thing right here is the pacing guide. This is for us, the teachers, and the students to kind of know what we're going to be doing each week because life is pretty unpredictable right now. But this is our suggestions on where you should be, especially if you're a virtual learner or if you go at your own pace. That's the beautiful thing about our class. If you want to work ahead, you can. This is just a suggestion. If you want to go faster than we teach it, we welcome that. Go for it. But it's just a quick little weekly detail, how many days are in the week, and then how many things they should be working on each week. Again, this is just kind of a soft suggestion. We don't really have too many hard deadlines. The only reason we put things in the gradebook for due dates is so they line up nice and neat for us to find quickly. All right, what else we got? There's a playlist right here on how to do things for students. If they click on this, it'll show them how to access things. It'll show them how to submit homework. All of those videos are actually organized in a Google Doc here. This is a great resource. If a student is stuck and doesn't know how to do something, 9 times out of 10, the student can just look here and they can find the resources they need based off the questions they ask. If a student has a new question, they can type it out and then Mr. Baker or myself will provide the answer right there. So that's the nice little how do I do anything Google resource. That's also in Schoology. What else do we got? Getting started, this was some first day things. Everything I'm talking about was kind of boiled down here. So this is just some first day Schoology practice. Important links for your student to bookmark. If they have Mr. Baker, they would probably want to bookmark this for a Google meeting. If they have myself, they would probably want to bookmark this for a Google meeting. IXL is an online practice website. Sometimes the bookwork isn't very impressive, so we assign them an IXL. It's kind of a hybrid between bookwork and our checkpoints. Again, we'll see those in a second. I have a nice little document here that I'm building, so this is going to look different week by week. It's the master list. It links the IXLs we do based off the lesson. So all the IXLs that would relate to this lesson and this one and this one, and that's something I'm building day by day. Link to the online textbook and a link to the online calculator. Again, these are links that your student might want to save. If they ever forget their username and password to iExcel or the online textbook, just shoot us an email. We'll get that to you really quick. It looks like Mr. Baker is throwing in some of his Google Meeting videos in here. So if a student missed class or would like to see the lesson live again, I guess it wouldn't be live, it was live, would like to see the lesson replayed, go here to see Mr. Baker's lessons. All of my lessons are in the lesson folder. So let's click on the very first quiz. This is organized, each folder kind of represents a quiz, and this quiz looks like it covers 4 lessons. Here is the name of the lesson, and here's the bookwork. So students don't need to go too far to find the bookwork. Oh, it's page 7 in this one's, and this one is a worksheet, these ones. So let's get in here. Clicking on the quiz folder, here are the 4 lessons. Here are a copy of the blank notes. If they ever lose their notes, they can print that out. So I'm going to click on lesson 1-1. Let's kind of walk through all the goodies here. Here is the link to the notes playlist. So the 1-1 notes goes over several examples. This playlist goes over all of those examples. Here is the bookwork, again with the assignment. Here is the checkpoint alpha. Some lessons have more than 1 checkpoint. So if I go back really quick to the folder, I know that lesson 1.2 has got 3 checkpoints. Sometimes a lesson has a lot of really good questions, so we try to break it down into smaller checkpoints. That way they don't need to do a ton of extra problems. And we kind of like to keep it in small slices. Okay, so we have the playlist, we've got the bookwork, we've got the checkpoint. This would be Mr. Baker's slides from his notes. So here's my notes, here's his notes, and then we also threw in some extra videos from the online textbook. The online textbook actually is a very, very good resource. They have lots of extra videos. When a student is working on the bookwork, the online textbook actually has extra videos discussing the bookwork. There's a video going over that way back in the beginning. It's one of these. It's one of the videos on this playlist, but that's for your students to look at. But let's talk more about the actual resources. So again, they would watch these videos to take the notes from my class. They would look at these slides to take notes from Mr. Baker's class. The bookwork itself has a lot of goodies. Now, if I click on this, it's going to show you some student scores. So I'm actually going to jump ahead to lesson 1-4 because I don't think any students have turned in this bookwork yet. And no, good. So there's no names here. Good. Nobody's done it yet. So here's all the goodies that are on the bookwork. It tells you the assignment, page 26, 1 through 12, 15 through 36, multiples of 3, and then also go back and do number 19, number 42, and number 61. Okay, here's all the goodies. This is a copy of the completed notes. So if the student were to watch all of these videos, the completed notes is what their notes should look like when they are done. And I apologize for the kind of blurriness of some of these parts. As we're learning more about our online capabilities, some of our documents get a little blurry. But anyway, this is what the notes would look like when they're all the way done. So a great thing students do is they'll fast forward to the completed notes, they'll write down all of this stuff, and then they'll go back and watch the videos. Super smart. It's already all written down, and then you just basically watch me talk about the stuff you've written down. It can be kind of tricky to watch a video, write something down, watch a video, write something down, and you constantly keep pausing the video. It's a little bit better to look at the completed notes, write it all down, and then just listen to me talk about all of that stuff. So nice little resource right there. What else is in the bookwork? There's lots of goodies. Here's a link to the online textbook. So let's see here. What do we got here? We got page 26. Okay. Not only do I have screenshots of page 26, and I'm guessing 27 and 28, but if they want to use the online textbook, there's a link right there to the online textbook. So they'd have to sign in. Yep, that's me. Cool. Let me get to the textbook as fast as I can. It takes a couple of clicks for them, and then for me, it's a little bit faster, but we've talked about how to get to the online textbook very quick. Okay, let's see here. It's going to take a second to load. Sorry to waste your time. You can fast forward if you'd like. Hopefully it'll load here in a second. So the online textbook is pretty nifty here. There you go. What was the assignment? It was page 26. Page 26, 1 through 12. Okay, let's go to, nope, not you. This one, here we go. Let's go to page 26 really quick. Is right there. Got it. Okay, page 26. Oh, cool. Here's the assignment. I had to do 1 through 12. Okay, so number 1 through 12. Oh, I'm having a hard time going over these examples. The online textbook will take you back to the examples in the textbook. Now, these right here, these are the exact same problems that I cover in the notes. So if they took the notes, they would have already gone over these ones, but it relates. It says, hey, if you're struggling with these homework problems, then look back at problem number 1 from the note. So it's kind of a really nice resource for students to make the connection between the notes they took and the problems they're practicing. So the online textbook is great, great resource. All right, enough of the online textbook. Let's get to the other goodie. So the final goodie in the Bookwork is this thing called the Bookwork Starter. So it's a link and it's also attached down here. So the Bookwork Starter is basically its name. It's how I would start the assignment if I were a student. So again, here's the assignment, page 26. All of these, 1 through 4, just name the property. So it's I don't really do the homework, but I definitely get them started on the homework, hence the name Bookwork Starter. And they also get to see my amazing penmanship. I make these things pretty quick. It's a neat little resource, and I don't want to do the work for them. So I do get it started. I get the snowball rolling, but it's their job to finish things off. So that's all of the resources in the Bookwork. When they are done, they need to submit either a picture of it, or some students put their answers in a Google Doc. Somehow, some way you can get your Bookwork to me, myself, or Mr. Baker. We can also accept Bookwork in class if they have it done. But if we ever go full virtual, the best way to show Bookwork is to take a picture of it and submit it to Schoology. All right. So what else do we got? We talked about notes. We talked about Bookwork and all the amazing goodies in there. Checkpoints. I'm going to go back to the very first checkpoint. Right here. So the cool thing about checkpoints is they pull questions randomly from question banks that we've designed. So I'm going to the students don't see all of this. I think they have just one tab where it says start new attempt. So these are all the teacher tabs. They don't get to see all these things. But here's kind of the behind the scenes work on checkpoints. We take the questions we like the most, and then we build question banks. Some of them are just 1 question. Some of them are 6. Some of them are 30. Some of them are like maybe 80 something. I don't know. The reason we do that is every time they take a checkpoint, it's going to shuffle the multiple question banks. They're going to get the same one here, but their second and third question is going to shuffle from 6 random questions. Their 4th and 5th question is going to shuffle between 30 questions. So that way they don't just keep guessing and checking until they get it. They're actually going to have to work a little bit on some of the questions. And then some of them we only make 1 of 2. So we've built these from scratch in Schoology, and they can take them as many times, they can take the checkpoint as many times as they need. Now, if they are struggling with a question, notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4 flavors of questions. When they go to start a new submission or they start a new attempt, right above it, there should be a link, okay? The checkpoints themselves have their own video playlist. So if a student is struggling on any of these 4 questions, they can go to the 1.1 alpha playlist. We give them alpha, bravo, I think omega. They're not going to do any more than 3. So if they ever have a third one, it's omega, just so they know it's the last one. So let's click on this playlist. And here is a playlist of myself going over the 4 questions. Notice it's a pretty goofy name. We've given all of our math questions, besides designing them from scratch, we also decided to give them really weird names, just to have a little bit of fun. So if we're going to build something, let's build something that's not, completely boring. Let's have a little bit of fun with it. But again, I showed you that the checkpoint had 4 questions. Notice the playlist has 4 videos. It's directly related. So a good thing for a student to do is, I've got to take this checkpoint that has 4 questions. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at question number 1 after I've watched the first video. So I'll watch the first video. I'll do the first question. I'll watch the second video. Then I'll do the second question. Now, it'll be their second and third question. It'll be the same name, so they'll know which video to watch. So that's kind of another way to link it. So if a student's ever struggling with a single question, they can go to my YouTube channel and they can actually look up the name of the question and they can find it in no time. So that's the best practice. I would recommend watching the videos along with doing the checkpoints. So it's going to be really hard for them to struggle too much. They're definitely going to struggle on some. We've made very tough questions on some of the checkpoints, but we have a video for every single question that they could have. And I've had comments from many students that say they actually learn more watching the checkpoint videos because I explain what's going on. I give extra examples sometimes. Again, learning by watching someone solve the problems is probably just as good as taking the notes, because the notes is all of, here's how you do it, here's how you do it. Well, this is me showing you how to do it. So there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path, I think somebody said one time in a movie or something. So, all right, so that's the checkpoint alpha for lesson 1-1, and that's about it. So they do notes, bookwork, checkpoint, they get the grade they want to get, and they move on to the next lesson. Okay, lesson 1-2. I take notes. I do the worksheet. Now, if it's a worksheet, it should be attached in their notes, and if it's not, it should be also attached to the worksheet so they can print them out, or they can even write down their own answers on their own piece of paper. Lesson 1-2 has got 3 checkpoints, alpha, bravo, and omega. Each checkpoint is going to have its own playlist. So lots of goodies involved there. And then they move on to the next lesson. I'm going to take the notes. It looks like Mr. Baker is filling up with his resources, with his slides. These would be the blank ones. These are the filled in, and then a video going over them. So our resources are building day by day. Bookwork, checkpoint alpha, checkpoint bravo. Again, everything's got completed notes, online textbook, bookwork starter, videos. Like the whole idea is they should be able to. They will need a little bit of guidance from us, but if a student had the willpower and had the time, they could probably knock out the entire first semester in a couple of months. That's the goal. If a student wants to do that and probably do nothing else, they could knock out the entire first semester in a couple months. Someday we'll get there, but we're building it nice and slow right now. Okay, lesson 1-4, notes, bookwork, and only 1 checkpoint. So the checkpoints usually relate to how many skills we want them to get good at. So if there's more skills, there'll be more checkpoints, less skills, less checkpoints. Okay, cool. All right, I've done all 4 lessons. I'm ready for the quiz. We don't have it built yet, but after a student knocks out all 4 lessons, there will be a quiz over those 4 lessons. Most of the time, the quizzes that we build are going to be digital, and they're going to pull from the same questions that were on the checkpoints. We're not going to put all of them in there. That would be way too many questions. We're going to keep it to 10 to 12 questions, and it's going to be directly related to the checkpoints that they would have had in each lesson. So it's all super duper lined up, overlapped, interconnected. It's great content. Mr. Baker and I feel we've really have built, and we are building, a world-class algebra experience. At least that's our opinion about it. So that's about it. There is not much else to cover. I don't think that's everything. We got the pacing guide, we've got links, we've got how-to stuff, we have lessons, and that's how CCA Algebra is going to go. If anything ever comes up, please ask myself or ask Mr. Baker a question. Otherwise, we look forward to working with your algebra student this year. And all right, I guess we'll see you when we see you. Take care, everybody.